Whoa there, Space Cowboy. Brokeback Bebop is a podcast with explicit content intended only for mature bounty hunters. Listener discretion is advised. Listen to all 40 steamy sessions of the show right now by supporting Brokeback Bebop at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's jam! I speak for the trees! Didn't Danny DeVito play him?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it was Zac Efron.
The Lorax?
Yeah, I think it was Zac Efron. Hi everybody out there, welcome back to Cowboy Bebop, to Brokeback Bebop.
Hey, yeah, this isn't Cowboy Bebop. Netflix is gonna have our ass!
Start that over. Hi everybody out there, and welcome to another session here on Brokeback Bebop. We're live action, just like the show we're talking about. Of course, I'm here with the live action Lorax, Stephen Baker himself.
Yeah, you don't buy your air from a bottle. Get it from the trees! I speak for the trees, and they said, hey, quit having sex and peeing on me.
How long are you keeping that voice today?
That's about it.
That's about it. That's
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for coming in. Danny DeVito,
Daniel.
Not my significant Daniel
Big
DeVito.
ups to Daniel DeVito for
Daniel
stopping by the
DeVito.
program. Daniel Del Vito. Yeah. All we could afford. So welcome to the show, everybody. Steven, how are you? Are you well?
I'm good.
I hope
I
you're
almost
well.
did a Danny DeVito impression doing Daniel Day-Lewis's "I drink your milkshake" thing, but it was gonna be too much. So
Let's hear it. Now everybody wants it now. The people are clamoring.
okay, I'm Danny DeVito. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. I don't do a very good Danny DeVito.
And then you got to take a picture of your bare foot and post it on Twitter. You ever seen that?
Daniel Day-Lewis is a fucking nut job.
No, Danny DeVito. Have you ever seen
Danny
that?
DeVito did that?
Danny DeVito all the time has done this dozens of times. It'll be hashtag. Have you never seen this?
No.
It's always, he's been doing this for fucking years. It'll say hashtag trollfoot. And it'll be
Why?
his bare ass ugly foot wherever he is, showing off where he's at.
Have you watched Little Demon yet?
No, but I will.
Yeah, you should. He plays Satan.
So what's up with you? What's tip-tapping at that noggin's door as we record the podcast?
You know,
today?
as people that listen know, like when you listen to a podcast, there are time-sensitive things. But I listened to 2 albums that just came out recently, and I thought both were pretty good and worth talking about. The one that's getting all the hype is the new Drake and 21 Savage collaboration.
Sure.
Called Her Loss, and I actually really liked it. It reminded me how much I like 21 Savage, and reminded me how Drake will match the energy of whoever he's rapping with. So, you know, if he's hanging out with some Jamaican people, it's Jamaican Drake. If he's in Canada, he's super Canadian Drake. Sometimes he's Houston Drake. But he was more like Atlanta Slaughter Gang Drake on this one, and I kind of liked that. So it was pretty good. There's some really funny lines in there. There's one where Drake is like talking about this girl that he likes, but she's got some guy, and he's like, 4 words to describe him: crusty, musty, dusty, something. And he's like, 8 words when I think of us: fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. And that was a good one. There was a 21 Savage line where he goes, I'm a savage, smacked the booty, grabbed it, and I thought that was solid. But yeah, that one was a fun one. And then in less mainstream album news, Smino, who's a really good artist, who if you haven't listened to him, you should. He's put out a new album that's super awesome, super chill. Smino's a really good rapper, but he also kind of sings on his stuff too. Cool. And he makes really fun, bouncy music. He's kind of in that same vein as No Name, or a little bit of what Chance the Rapper kind of used to do type stuff.
What does he do anymore?
He loves his wife.
Does he make music still, or does he just
Sometimes,
show up places?
I don't listen to the songs that he puts out.
I feel like he just shows up places.
He's like, new song coming out. I wrote this one for my wife and my baby, and it's about my wife and my baby.
I think he's about to be a coach on The Voice.
You're shitting me.
I think
But he can't sing, Zach.
Well,
just
so
because
he'll
you
know
do
if other
something
people
doesn't
can
mean
or
you're
not.
good. Maybe after his hosting on that rap show, he is doing that now.
Yeah, he's going to be a coach for season 23 of The Voice.
Wow. They
I feel like that show's been on 8 years.
Yeah, it hasn't not been around that long, but they just are always making episodes.
Do you know the website rateyourmusic.com? Do you ever hang out over there?
I've never seen that.
It's been around since like early internet, but it's kind of like Letterboxd for albums.
Oh, I should do that.
It's really fun.
I don't
do reviews there, but I like to read reviews there. And they have a really nifty feature where you can see like just by aggregated reviews, like a list of the top albums of each year according to them. And it's always like interesting stuff, like different from what you'd see on like a Rolling Stone type list. And you can also do like the top albums of all time. Wow. I decided to start with 200. I'm listening to the top 200
Holy shit.
according to them. And I've listened to like 4, but one of them was that jazz album that we talked about. It was Charles Mingus, Blues and Soul. Really, really great album. One of my favorites I've listened to since starting these so far. I really, really liked it.
Charles Mingus is the shit.
But also, like, number 200 was the like better of the albums of Queens of the Stone Age, which was a little silly.
Interesting.
And also Pavement, the band Pavement. And then one of the albums was a 5-hour compilation of Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, shit. Did you listen to the whole thing?
Yes,
I
did.
love Jimi Hendrix.
It was like in chronological order, so it started with his earlier live recordings and it ended with the last thing that he recorded.
I got really into him for a while, and I was like really, really into it. Like, I think Jimi Hendrix is brilliant.
Incredible. I knew a lot of his songs, but this was a cool way for me to take like a guided deep dive like through his career. It was fun.
Hey Joe is my favorite Jimi Hendrix song.
Hey Joe. Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that song.
This is a fun fact. Not a lot of people know about that song, but the Joe in Hey Joe is actually Joe from Blue's Clues.
Ah, I thought it was Joe Mama.
Let's talk about Cowboy Bebop. What do you think?
Enough about me. Let's talk about Cowboy Bebop.
What do you mean?
Bebop
You
second.
talked about albums, then I talked about albums, and now we're done with that part. What do you mean?
Yeah, enough about me.
I keep banging stuff. You're making me angry.
Oh, bang
I'm
it.
just going to start banging everything.
Watch out, world.
Tree people.
Zach's banging again.
Let's talk about Cowboy Bebop. We're here to talk about the 4th session in the Netflix live-action Cowboy Bebop series. This episode is called Callisto Soul. Not the worst of the episode titles so far.
No.
There have been some stinkers.
Yeah. Like
This episode-
like Sky Dog Moon, whatever the fuck that last one was.
Yep,
Dog Sky
Dog
Shot.
Moon Rising, I think it
Dog
was.
dog load stuff. I don't know.
This episode was directed by Michael Cattleman, who directed the previous one as well. And the episode was written by... I keep hitting my fucking microphone, and I know it's going to sound bad. And the episode was written by Vivian Lee, who also wrote a lot of the Netflix Lost in Space series, if you know that at all. And she also wrote for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance show that was
I heard that was
also
pretty good.
on Netflix. Yeah. And this episode originally aired along with the rest of the series on Netflix on November 19th, 2021. Steven,
Hey, we're almost at we're past the anniversary. No, we're almost to the anniversary of that, Zach.
I think when this comes out, it'll be after.
Oh.
Or just around.
Just around.
Hey, who knows? It's up to you to decide, listening audience. November 19th, 2021, this aired. Let's do some trivia.
I've got 3 questions for you, Zach.
As do I, friend.
Oh, well, why don't you start us off per ceremony?
Logistically speaking, seeing as I started last time, I'd like for you to start this time.
Okay, I will start this time.
But since you already insisted, I guess it makes most sense for me to start so we don't like fight on mic and
well, it's okay. I'll
make a
go.
kerfuffle. Okay, my first question. Wait, you're going. Okay, go.
No, you can go. It's fine.
I'm not saying a goddamn word until you've asked a question.
All right, I'll ask one.
Speaking of questions, my first one right here. No, go ahead. I'm done.
What Tarantino reference is on the menu at the diner?
I don't know. Is there a picture of someone's foot?
No, it's
I
just
didn't
the
see.
N-word a bunch. It's the Royale with cheese.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that. But you know what I did see on that menu in the diner that doesn't make any other appearances in this episode? You don't know?
No.
You're blank.
Wait, is it your actual question?
Sea-Rat. This isn't one of my questions.
Oh.
Sea-Rat was
Okay,
on the
I was
menu.
going to say Sea-Rat, but I wasn't sure if it was something else.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was just
Sea-Rat.
bringing it up because you made me think of it. Sea-Rat's on the menu of the diner, which is obviously this what would you call it? The terrorist group's thing in the animated version. It doesn't show up in this episode, but they mentioned it there. I thought that was kind of cool. My first question for you: you told me not to ask you what Faye's number, letter, assigned name was, but can you remember what names she tried on in the opening sequence?
Ooh, they may not be in order. Is that okay?
No,
need
they're
to be
in
in
order
order?
or they're nothing. Just
Oh,
kidding.
fuck. Okay, well, not in order. Kathy, Laura.
Yes.
I just can't remember what the first one was.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Were there 4 or 3 in total?
I have 3.
You have 3? Okay, the first one wasn't a name that I thought worked for her. Clearly not her either. Because the whole time I was thinking, maybe Sarah would work. Maybe like a Heidi. Why not choose like a thing with F? It feels
You
more
don't
natural. Know. I don't know what the first one is.
It was
Jessica.
Yvonne.
Ivana.
Not Jessica. Your turn. What you got for me?
What drug does Jet think Faye is high on?
Well, Spike says space crank. I forget what Jet's
That's
was.
really
Some kind
funny.
of dust.
Yeah, it's some
But I
kind
don't
of
remember
dust.
what
You
it
want to
was.
guess? You can give me a planet and a kind of and the word dust, and I'll give you points.
Jupiter dust.
Ooh.
Jupiter duck dust.
Nope. We are looking for Venus stardust.
Oh, I'd give it to me. That's a point. Next one for you. What are the popcorn shrimp?
What are the popcorn shrimp?
What are the popcorn shrimp? You don't know shit. You don't even
A
have
band.
Do you even know? You don't even know what that question's referring to
No.
in any way.
Not even a little bit.
An algae soy hybrid are the popcorn shrimp.
Well,
What are you talking about?
what
You
are
don't know
you talking about?
On the menu at the diner, he says, "What are the popcorn shrimp? Are they real shrimp?" And she says, "They're an algae soy hybrid."
Ah, that's before they ordered the rib. And she's like, the coupon doesn't work for real meat.
They order rib eye.
Rib eye. I have another question for you, Zachary. What is Howard's last name?
Oh man, I even looked at it and almost wrote it down, but I don't remember it, so I'm gonna guess the duck.
Ooh, not today. Every Marvel after credits scene. It is Culpepper.
Oh, okay.
Which
yep.
may or may not be a callback to former Lions, Vikings, and I think Dolphins quarterback
I don't think it
Dante
is.
Culpepper.
I have a feeling it's not that. not a Dante thing. I have one more question for you. What split do Jet, Faye, and Spike settle on?
70-30.
Yes.
Yes. And he's going to tell her about the cosmonaut. Welcome
Is that all
to
the questions?
Bebop.
Do you have
That's
another
all
one?
the questions,
all
which
she
brings
wrote.
us to the most environmentally friendly segment on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to find out, did Zach
There you go.
comprehend the episode this week in nature? You're out here, you're in the bush, you're nude, you're stuck in a tree. We've got you mic'd up, Zach. How are you feeling?
Well, I don't know what the fuck to do when I'm outside, so I think this is going to go pretty poorly. I don't really know what I'm going to say this time, so I don't know how much I'm going to get, to be quite honest.
You know, if you bring joy into the world, Zach, and you water those plants, they're gonna water you right back.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna pull up my timer. Stopwatch,
Not a sponsor.
actually. Yeah, not a sponsor. Actually, I'm gonna try something. We're gonna do an actual timer today, Zach.
So
This
an
is-
alarm's
this is-
going to go off. That's going to fuck the editing all up.
So don't do a timer?
I don't know. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but probably not.
Okay, then I'll do a stopwatch instead. I thought it would be fun. But you know what? Zach doesn't want to try new things on pod or off pod. So
Yeah. Look,
I bring
we're that
one
couple
farm
that
animal in the
we've
bedroom.
boned so many times that it's just the same rotation every time.
We're here
Like,
for 30 seconds.
How about a number
We're
3
here for
quick
30
this time,
seconds.
Steven?
And we're here for 6.
Yeah, and then I'm
Neither
on
of us
the
finish.
bathroom floor crying for 20 minutes afterwards.
God. All right, Zach. Are you ready?
No.
All right,
Period.
well,
No.
too bad. The branch is starting to snap. I think you only got 20 seconds till that bad boy just breaks and then baby comes tumbling down. What's the song about the rockabye baby in a treetop? How does that song end? Until the bough breaks,
Rockabye
then
baby
baby
on
will
it.
die or some shit.
And then will come baby, cradle and all. The
yeah,
baby fucking
baby's
dies.
Yeah, baby's gonna come down, cradle and all, in about 20 seconds. Zach, you are baby. Are you ready?
I am baby.
Okay, on go. 3,
Okay.
2, 1, go.
Faye is a former amnesiac who doesn't know her past and is after the man who did it to her, but ends up witnessing an environmental terrorist crime which leads them on the case of the week and leads her back into the grips of the Bebop. As she finds out more information about her past, the terrorists keep turning people into trees. They're going to have a missile. Everyone's going to be a fucking tree, but Faye stops it by crashing into it, nearly sacrificing herself. Okay.
That was good. I do have to dock you some points because you referred to her as a former amnesiac. They much prefer recovering amnesiac as the proper term. Amnesiacs Anonymous is really big on that. They have like a whole 5-step program to remembering.
Okay.
Retracing your steps is a big one. So
Hey, well,
just
I'm
be
fine
aware.
with pissing off the amnesiac community because they're not going to fucking remember.
They take really good notes.
They have to.
They have to.
literally have to.
You got a lot in the last 7 seconds or
Yeah,
so.
I think obviously there's more I could have done. I didn't and don't care that I didn't mention vicious and stuff like that. I feel like I got a decent amount.
I'm gonna give you a B for that one, Zach.
I'll take it.
Yeah, B for boy, oh boy, am I jazzed to talk about this episode, Zach.
Firm but fair, as always, my friend. Yeah, let's talk about it. A step up of an episode.
Yeah, my favorite of the 4 we've seen so far.
I think, like I said, I just need to, lower my expectations a little bit and have a good time. And this episode was a good time and had far fewer things that were bad, cringy, campy.
There was one though, Zach, that I
I'm Faye
just
Valentine.
can't.
I am Faye Valentine.
Oh my
I am Faye
fucking
Valentine.
God.
I am Faye Valentine. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, because here's that whole I want to talk first about the scene right before it, which I like. Faye's having a cool hand-to-hand combat scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's drama. The music is cool. Music was too quiet over the sound of her
Yes.
flying towards the missile. Way too
Well,
quiet.
you had to be able to hear her say her name 20 times, clear as day.
Well, and then we get to the point where she stops the missile, but
Uh-huh.
then it's like, wait a minute, sad music starts because there's danger. The original show would have never done some shit like
would have
that.
been
They would have kept
silent.
it exciting. It would have either been
would have been
silent, or they would have
silent.
kept the exciting music happening because it's supposed to be an exciting moment. But instead, we got a fucking cut to Sarah McLachlan instrumentals in the background, and she's like, I am Jean Valjean, I am prisoner 164279. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, what? What are you're having your moment where you're accepting your fake identity before your death? That's not deep.
yeah.
That pissed me off.
There's
I
that-
really liked this episode, and then that just pissed me off.
Let's get the other bad things out of the way because there's fewer.
Whoa,
this time.
holy fuck, pause button, move your goddamn head. When'd you get a Topanga Funko Pop?
Oh, I've had that for a long time.
That's fucking
It's
cool.
been there as long as there's been stuff. Lily got that for me. I forget. Just out of the
Wow.
blue one time.
Your face is always there, so I haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
Got a couple of things. I got the Changnesia note underneath it. I've
And
got
of
a
course-
Sparks poster over here.
Yeah, I like that. Nice.
Picture of
Sorry,
Bee.
you may continue with your thought.
That's okay. The things that stood out to me from this episode as negative are, one, and this has kind of just been a problem with a lot of the show, the CGI is really corny,
Mm-hmm.
and the interaction between real world and CGI really stands out. Like the trees, they looked super animated. It's a cool sequence, and I can't really fault the show for not having the money to have it cutting thread CGI, because that's a pretty intricate thing to have a human slowly one branch at a time turn into a tree. They did their best, but it was a little uncanny, and I still always hate when the spaceships I don't
phase
know,
at the beginning,
when phase in the
with
thing,
all the
that always
signs
makes
outside.
me kind of groan. The other thing, this is a big Faye episode.
Yeah.
You kind of told me before we started watching this that you didn't really like Faye that much. I had heard that a lot, to the point of being like, I wanted to really give her a chance because I thought maybe it was unfair. First episode, I felt she was fine.
Yeah.
This episode, the actress does some great stuff. I think when she's in that red dress, this Faye is very, very attractive.
Yeah,
in this
I think so
episode.
too. I think she's very pretty. She has an incredible cheekbone structure.
What I would, and honestly, I can't tell you specific moments, but there were a couple of times where she had a line and said it in a way that I was like, that is in the voice of Faye. The problem is, and this is not on her, that they've written Faye in this show to talk like she's Juno or something.
Yeah.
She's like a holy
shit fuck.
holy fuck balls type person, or I don't know. Yeah, Faye was catty and sarcastic, but it makes her kind of kiddish.
Yeah, she wasn't
And
like an
I
angsty
think-
teenager. She was like a pissed off 20-something.
It makes her kiddish, and I think Faye in the original, not knowing her childhood, had more depth to it because she felt older.
Yeah.
This Faye feels really young, and I don't know. I'm not crazy about all the things.
This
they're doing
Faye
with their
feels like
character.
she was frozen at 15 and woken back up at 15, which makes sense. But it's just different from the Faye that we knew, and it's no fault. I actually really like the actress that plays.
It's not
Faye.
her fault.
And I think that she's doing a good job, and it makes it better than it could be, because I don't think they write Faye very well in this live action.
I agree. I think
That being
there
said,
are-
I do think that it's a pretty good Faye episode. As much
Yes.
as that one scene, I'm just excusing it from, because it's just, there's no reason for it. Why would you give? Why does this show, Zach? Do they think that we won't care if they don't tell us everything about a character? Is that what it is? They're like, oh, they're not going to keep watching.
I was thinking about that when we were talking about the episode before this. I think it's either that, or they're just so certain that their audience already knows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they're banking on the majority of their audience being former Bebop fans that don't need to have a season's
reveal,
worth of,
or-
who is Faye, because they know already and it's not a surprise. But I feel like for us, I feel like for you and I, for sure, we want this piece of media to be as accessible as its own thing without
Yeah.
the former Bebop. And I think if you were just looking for a new sci-fi show to watch,
This would look cool.
unless you're like really die hard into sci-fi series, you might find some stuff to like in this one. I don't think it would call out to you as that special.
I think that if I were somebody who had no idea what Cowboy Bebop was, and I'm just scrolling through Netflix, nothing to watch, and I see like the trailer, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Space bounty hunters. The music looks
Yeah.
cool. Like, I'd check this out. And then I watch it, and like you said, after last episode, the average person probably would stop, which is a shame, because this episode I think is much better, but I don't know what they were doing with some of the choices.
And I feel like it kind of, I don't know, this episode could have come earlier in the season too.
Mm-hmm.
If they are just going to tell us everything right away, and we met Faye in episode 1, maybe this episode should have been a mix of like this episode and them finding Hein. Or something like that.
Or like they just shouldn't have, the second episode shouldn't have happened.
That was the third episode if you're talking about last week.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the second one. I think that could
What
have
was
happened
the
after
second
this. Beats me.
We did a whole podcast about it and everything.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what the plot line is.
Venus Pop is what the episode was called. Vicious had to shoot Julia. I remember
But that's
that.
like the C plot.
I remember it.
Yeah, what happened with Spike and Jet in that one? Who are they after?
Oh,
Teddy Bear Bomber. Yeah, that could have happened after
Let's
this.
talk more about this episode. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the live action version of the terrorist group. I thought, even though the main woman overacted a little bit, there's one point when she has a line about going to jail that she takes like a half a minute to tell a 8-second line.
We're going to jail. both of
But
us.
her look was perfect. She looked the part incredibly well.
And I think that it was funny to add some humor to like her kids kind of being idiots.
There was some humor.
That was kind of funny. I think that visually they looked. I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but like this one was one where I think the camp visually and thematically worked for them. Whereas last week it didn't at all.
Because it's kind of a campy episode of the original. That was one of the reasons why that was one of my favorites from the early run of the show. I really like that one. I wanted to ask. I'm pretty sure it's not. Is there any reference to turning people into trees in the original one?
Absolutely not.
I could see this being one of those things that people fucking hate that they did this.
I like it.
Other than the CGI being kind of lame, I didn't hate it. It worked.
I think it's
fine
kind of
for me.
cool. It's a more real threat than we're gonna dress up as rats and shoot you. You know,
It's also kind of more and that's the show like smartly stepping away from a lot of the things from the animated show that don't really fly in a post 9/11 world.
Yeah.
Especially in an American version of the show. They can't. This was the episode of the cartoon where there was like a plane hijacking in the very beginning. I think that stuff is fine with them still being like this terrorist group. I even thought the missile and the turning people into trees and stuff, it had a couple facets of Vincent from Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
Totally. I think that they do a lot of things right in this episode. I just don't know why there's that scene with Faye in there.
Well, it's because they're really... I feel like this episode thinks they're showing and not telling.
Do they think somebody's going to cry at that?
I don't think anyone's going to cry.
Do they want me to cry, Zach? Do they think I'm going to shed some tears? Do they want me to get my little tissues and sop up my just drenched face, just covered in snot and crying?
Well, because, like, the through line of this episode, kind of like the fucking stupid doll in the last episode, was how the episode starts with Faye trying out different names and landing on Faye Valentine, which I assume is supposed to be, like, the origin of that name.
No. So she's trying to think of a different name to, like, trick the guy.
Right.
But then she's like,
I thought
no,
maybe it was flashback.
I'm Faye Valentine, the name you gave me.
Right. I thought that was cool. I like what they're trying to do there. And she could have said it once. She could have said it twice. She says it like 12 times at the end, and that's unnecessary.
Because I understand she's about to die. She's leaving like the chip log, like, hey, this is who I am.
And as she's... yes, exactly. She's like, as she's about to die, she's realizing, no, I do have an identity.
Yeah. And I like that. What I don't like is switching the music and her saying it 12 fucking times. If she had just been like, I'm cryo number something, actually, wait, no, I'm Faye Valentine. I'm Faye Valentine. And that should have been it.
Yeah.
2 is fine.
What do you think about the kind of cutesy including Faye into the family of the Bebop at the end? I think although the show comes off as corny, it did give me the vibe of how a lot of the cartoon episodes end with a moment like that in that gathering place in the ship.
Where one of them wakes up and it's like, oh, you came back for me.
Spike and Faye, yeah.
And they're like, well, kind of had to, you owe us money. Or, well, it's the least we could do, you know.
Or in this one, there's like, well, it's only temporary and you have to buy us drinks, but welcome aboard.
And that's cute. I like that. I think that's nice.
I had the rogue thought, I feel like if this show lasted seasons, they would have made Spike and Faye hook up.
Oh, absolutely. They would.
There was a little bit of a... And I felt that in the cartoon, like in slight moments.
Eventually, they would have banged.
What else did you like about this episode? What makes it special to you?
I think this episode finally gets a little bit of the banter, especially between Spike and Jet, feeling a little more natural. There's less gaps in between each sentence. It feels a little more organic. I think, especially there's a couple moments where Faye fits into that banter well, which I didn't think they did
3 of them.
A lot in the first episode, but they got it a couple times, and they nailed it a lot more in this one.
In the first one, it was like Faye had good quips like against Spike or against Jet. But here in this episode, you're like, oh no, this show works better when there's a team at the core.
Yeah.
And it was starting at last episode to get too much like Jet versus Spike feeling. And it's nice to have some, like a new kid for them to team up against is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to highlight before we move on to our captain this week?
There's a couple of cool songs in this episode.
I really liked what they played over the credits.
That was dope as shit.
And that wasn't the only one. There's when Faye is fighting, there's a cool
that
song
one's cool
plays.
too. Gotta listen real close to hear it, but it's cool.
What about, is that what you were going to mention, or were there other music moments?
I wrote cool music during the before and during the fight with Faye. I like the music when the missile's like coming down. I like that it gets louder, but then it's too quiet like once she's actually interacting with the missile, and then the music switch is bad when it's I'm Faye Valentine. But then it's great at the end again. So, boom.
It's still a huge improvement over the first
Massive.
episode. I mean, the last week's episode. I do think it's the best episode so far. But I'm still kind of like, where are we going with this? Mm-hmm. And this is the point where you stopped. Is that right?
This is the last one I saw, I'm pretty sure.
So next week we'll start uncharted territory completely.
Oh, boy.
Pieces of Cowboy Bebop that neither of us have seen.
Which is a first for our podcast.
Week. Yes, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, let's do it. Let's talk about our captain of the Bebop this week. Mm-hmm. Who is it?
Why don't you go first this time?
I guess I'll go with Faye.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about doing a joke one and making it like one of the kids.
Yeah.
But I do think the actress playing Faye shows here that she can do well even when she's given some shitty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, let's give it to Faye.
Yeah, it's Faye for me, too. I think honorable mentions are worth it for the mother of the terrorist group. She did a good job. But I think that, yeah, this is a great Faye episode, and I think that the best one so far, and probably the most standout individual performance in an episode to this point, I would say. Whoa. I think that Jet has a good first episode, Spike has a solid second episode, but this one, Faye really did a really good job, and I think the action was good, there was enough comedy. She's deserving of the captain's chair this week.
Well, that wraps up Brokeback Bebop for this week. We'll be back next week to talk about something completely new to the both of us, so that'll be a lot of fun.
When are we going to make a spin-off Brokeback Bebop, where we do it in more of a Baroque style?
Is that what Baroque is to you? That
voice? It's that voice and talking in iambic pentameter.
We'll rush deliver some powdered wigs.
Exactly.
And bug-infested wooden teeth.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week for another rendition of Brokeback Bebop.
Ba-bum, 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 bum.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You keep talking about the way it was, but let me tell you how it's gonna be. We used to be hip, just the God and Marshall to the moon or to Mercury. So pardon me.
Thanks for listening. Support this show and our podcast network at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, where starting at $5 a month, you can get immediate access to all 40 outrageous sessions of Brokeback Bebop. See you next time, Space Cowboy.
I think that, what was I going to say?
Come on, you got this. You can do it.
Election.
Get that thought. Pull that thought out. Make that thought your bitch.
Oh,
Get that
I'm
shit.
working
You don't have
at
it.
Oh, goddamn. What was it?
Drop
It
it.
was a
Say
good
something
one,
else.
too.
What else you got?
Talking.
What else did you like about this episode? What makes it special to you?
I think that I really enjoy, like... Oh! Haha!
Nice.
Bingo! I think this episode finally gets a little bit of the banter, especially between Spike and Jet, feeling a little more natural. There's less gaps in between each sentence.